Where did it all begin? The pursuit of truth, the questions that shaped the world. So buckle up your toga and grab your thinking cap, because we're heading back to where philosophy was born. Thales of Miletus. Thales is often regarded as the first philosopher in Western tradition because he sought natural explanations for the world. He proposed that water was the arche, the fundamental principle or substance of all things, arguing that life depends on water, and it is present in various forms in nature. He introduced a move away from mythological explanations of phenomena, setting the foundation for scientific inquiry. Thales is also credited with early work in geometry and astronomy. His belief that all things are full of gods suggests that the divine pervades the natural world, but not in a traditional anthropomorphic sense. Anaximander. Anaximander, a student of Thales, expanded on his teacher's ideas, but rejected water as the primary substance. Instead, he proposed the concept of the apeiron, the infinite, eternal, and boundless source of all things. He argued that the cosmos originated from this infinite, and that natural forces, not deities, shaped the world. Anaximander is also credited with creating one of the first maps of the known world and speculating on human evolution. His ideas highlight an early attempt to unify nature under a single principle. His philosophical ideas introduced the notion of balance and justice in nature, as captured by his principle that things perish into that from which they have their origin. Anaximenes. Anaximenes, the third Milesian philosopher, argued that air was the fundamental substance of the universe. He believed that changes in air's density led to the formation of different materials. When it condensed, it became wind, clouds, water, and eventually earth, while rarefaction produced fire. This process provided a naturalistic explanation for the variety of phenomena in the world. Anaximenes said, "Just as our soul, being air, holds us together, so does breath and air encompass the whole world." Pythagoras. Pythagoras is not just the father of the Pythagorean theorem. His philosophy extended far beyond mathematics. He believed that numbers and their relationships underpinned the structure of the cosmos. To him, the universe was a harmonious whole, where even music followed mathematical ratios, known as the harmony of the spheres. Pythagoras also advocated for a spiritual lifestyle, practicing asceticism, vegetarianism, and the belief in the transmigration of souls. He said, "There is geometry in the humming of the strings. There is music in the spacing of the spheres." Xenophanes. Xenophanes was a critic of the anthropomorphic depiction of gods in Greek mythology. He believed that humans shaped gods in their own image, a reflection of cultural bias. Instead, Xenophanes proposed a single, eternal, and all-powerful deity that didn't resemble human qualities. He also introduced a form of early skepticism, encouraging critical thinking about divine and natural phenomena. His famous critique, "If horses or oxen had hands, they would draw gods like themselves." Heraclitus. Heraclitus, known as the philosopher of change, believed that the only constant in life is change. His famous phrase, "You cannot step into the same river twice," perfectly captures his idea that everything is in flux. He also saw fire as the primary element of the universe, symbolizing transformation and renewal. Parmenides. Parmenides challenged Heraclitus's view of change. He argued that reality is one, eternal, and unchanging. To Parmenides, what exists is ungenerated, indestructible, and indivisible. Change and motion, he claimed, are illusions of human perception. His central teaching, what is and what is not, cannot be. It's a mind-bending idea that laid the groundwork for metaphysics. Zeno of Elea. A student of Parmenides, Zeno is best known for his paradoxes, which aim to defend his teacher's belief in the impossibility of motion. His paradoxes, like Achilles and the tortoise, argue that movement is an illusion because infinite divisions in space and time make progress impossible. While these paradoxes puzzled many, they also led to deeper explorations in mathematics and philosophy. Empedocles. Empedocles synthesized earlier philosophical ideas and proposed that all matter is made of four root elements: earth, air, fire, and water. He introduced the forces of love and strife, which act as cosmic principles, uniting and separating these elements to create and destroy. His work is one of the earliest attempts to explain change and diversity in nature. As he put it, the nature of God is a circle of which the center is everywhere and the circumference nowhere. Quite poetic, isn't it? Anaxagoras. Anaxagoras brought philosophy to Athens and introduced the concept of nous, or mind, as the cosmic force that orders the universe. He believed that everything is composed of infinitely divisible particles, or seeds, which are arranged and governed by the rational force of nous. He also explained celestial phenomena, like eclipses, through natural, not divine, causes. He once said, "Everything has a portion of everything," a fascinating insight into his worldview. Protagoras. Protagoras was one of the first sophists, and his philosophy emphasized relativism and subjectivity. He believed that knowledge and morality are human-centered and context-dependent. His famous statement, "Man is the measure of all things," suggests that truth and reality vary based on individual perception. For Protagoras, there was no absolute truth. What seems true to one person might not be true to another. This relativistic approach extended to ethics and politics, as he taught that societal norms and laws are based on agreements rather than inherent truths. His work had a profound impact on the development of rhetoric and education in ancient Greece. Gorgias. Gorgias was a master rhetorician and one of the most influential sophists. He is famous for his extreme skepticism, encapsulated in his three-part assertion. Nothing exists. If it does, it cannot be known. If it can be known, it cannot be communicated. This provocative statement was not just a denial of reality, but an exploration of the limitations of human understanding and language. Gorgias demonstrated the power of persuasive speech, arguing that rhetoric could shape belief and perception, regardless of truth. He saw language as a tool that could create illusions, making him one of the earliest theorists of linguistic manipulation. Democritus. Democritus is considered the father of atomism. He proposed that everything in the universe is composed of tiny, indivisible particles called atoms, which move through the void. These atoms combine and separate to form the objects and phenomena we observe. Democritus rejected divine intervention in natural processes, advocating for a materialistic explanation of the cosmos. His ethical philosophy emphasized achieving happiness through moderation, wisdom, and tranquility, which he believed stemmed from a well-balanced soul. He famously said, "Happiness resides not in possessions and not in gold. Happiness dwells in the soul." His work laid the groundwork for scientific materialism. Socrates. Socrates revolutionized philosophy by shifting its focus from natural science to ethics and human behavior. Through his famous Socratic method, he encouraged critical questioning to challenge assumptions and uncover deeper truths. His philosophy focused on ethics and the pursuit of virtue, arguing that knowledge leads to right action and that ignorance is the root of wrongdoing. He sought to awaken people to self-awareness, famously declaring, "The unexamined life is not worth living." Socrates wrote nothing himself, but his teachings were preserved through his students, particularly Plato. His death by hemlock for corrupting the youth of Athens made him a martyr for free thought and philosophy. Plato. Plato, a student of Socrates, developed a comprehensive philosophical system that explored metaphysics, ethics, politics, and epistemology. He introduced the theory of forms, asserting that true reality exists beyond the physical world, in a realm of perfect, unchanging ideas or forms. In his book, The Republic, Plato outlined his vision of an ideal society governed by philosopher kings. His famous allegory of the cave illustrates how most people live in ignorance, mistaking shadows for reality. Plato emphasized harmony and justice, famously stating, "The greatest wealth is to live content with little." Diogenes of Sinope. Diogenes, the founder of cynicism, rejected conventional values such as wealth, power, and social status, advocating for a life in harmony with nature. He lived with extreme simplicity, often in a barrel or tub, to demonstrate his disdain for material possessions. Diogenes believed that happiness could only be achieved through self-sufficiency and freedom from societal constraints. His interactions with Alexander the Great are legendary. When Alexander offered to fulfill any wish, Diogenes replied, "Stand out of my sunlight." This embodied his philosophy of rejecting external influence and valuing independence. And that's it for the first part of our Western Philosophers series. These ancient Greek thinkers set the stage for everything to come. Want a deep dive on any of them? Let me know in the comments. Which philosophy resonated with you the most? Share your thoughts below. I'd love to hear them. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next part. See you soon.